him, and how much did she know? An exclusive interview.
I thought she is incapable of being an accomplice. Absolutely incapable.
Plus, Omar Mateen's own troubled past. All this as thousands take part in a touching tribute for the victims.
Deadly heat wave, tinderbox conditions sparking fires across 6 states. Hotspots threatening to flare up again. More than 50 million Americans affected by these unbearable temperatures. When can we expect any relief?
South Pole rescue mission, a medical emergency. The daring attempt to save at least one person in distress at the bottom of the world. It's one of the harshest environments on Earth, 70 degrees below zero. What's involved in this risky and complex operation?
And the championship fight. Do or die game. The Cavaliers and the Warriors ready for battle.
I came back for a reason, that's to bring a championship to the city of Cleveland.
Can the Cavs make comeback history, or will Steph Curry and the Warriors take home the trophy? It all comes down to tonight.
Live from ABC News in New York, this is Good Morning America.
Hey, good morning and happy Father's Day. We're going to be celebrating with the following. A special pop news with Sarah Haynes, some expert happiness tips for parents, and one son's extraordinary tribute to his dad.
Yeah, this day filled with so many emotions, Dan. Happy Father's Day to you, by the way. But we do start here on a very different note with the new developments and new information in the Orlando nightclub attack. Overnight, there were some emotional moments at a capacity soccer game in Orlando. In the 49th minute, a moment of silence to honor the 49 victims.
As you can see in the stands there, a sea of rainbow flags and 50 empty seats honoring the nightclub victims, as well as Christina Grimmie, the popular young singer who was fatally shot after a show in Orlando the night before the terror attack. The whole crowd there singing the national anthem together.
Also overnight, a funeral for 32-year-old Christopher Linehan, who died in the Pulse nightclub. As you may remember, 1 week ago this morning, we heard those emotional pleas from Christopher's mother as she searched for her son.
It's terrible. He's my only child.
Such an anguishing scene, and we are thinking of her this morning. Meanwhile, as the city prepares for another huge vigil tonight, we are learning much more this morning about the woman at the center of the investigation, the killer's wife. ABC's Lindsay Janis is right there in Orlando this morning. Lindsay, good morning to you.
Good morning, Dan and Paula. It has been 7 days since the Pulse nightclub attack, and since then, authorities have been investigating whether the gunman's wife had any involvement. And this morning, we're learning more about her.
This morning, a former teacher of Orlando terrorist Omar Mateen's wife providing new details about the challenges of Noor Salman's youth. In an exclusive interview, Susan, who asked us not to use her last name or show her face, telling ABC News Salman had learning difficulties and was in all special education classes.
Noor had difficulty with retention. She had difficulty with conceptualizing, understanding. She tried hard. She was very sweet.
She believes Salman would not be capable of helping her husband plot his attack.
I thought she is incapable of being an accomplice. Absolutely incapable. I think that she doesn't realize consequences of her actions.
Salman's family denying Noor had any involvement in the shooting. In a statement to ABC News over the phone, telling us Noor is completely innocent and unaware of the attacks, and confirming she was a special education student who does not understand cause and effect. Also this morning, documents obtained by ABC News revealing details about the troubled past of a young Omar Mateen. Junior high and high school records revealing 15 suspensions. One of them just 2 days after a classmate said he saw Mateen celebrating the 9/11 terror attacks in class.
He was smiling about it. He was up in class.
Overnight, church bells ringing 49 times at 2:02 a.m., the time that the massacre began 1 week ago. And tonight, a massive vigil planned, just another act of defiance from a city united. Dan and Paula?
And they are expecting tens of thousands. Lindsay, thank you. We want to move now to our other top story, the dangerous heat And those fires out west, the fires spreading. 6 states are now battling wildfires, and the hot, dry weather is only increasing the danger. Our Neil Karlinski is in the critical zone, Santa Barbara County Forest this morning. Good morning, Neil.
Paula, good morning. This will be no relaxing Father's Day for thousands of firefighters here. Even with conditions improving, the increasing heat has them worried. This morning, a dangerous heat wave has left California's bravest firefighters on edge. Even though the so-called Sherpa fire north of Santa Barbara is increasingly under control, fire teams aren't taking any chances, laboriously going through each and every hot spot they can reach before conditions get worse all over again. California's newest firefighters, straight out of the training academy, took this photo before being dispatched to the front lines. More than a dozen large infernos now burning across 6 states, including a fire in New Mexico where 24 homes have been lost. Already this year, nearly 2 million acres scorched, compared to only 500,000 at this time last year. Residents aren't taking any chances. We found this home with foil seals to keep burning embers from blowing through door cracks and fireproof cement shingles. All of this as a heat wave from Southern California to Missouri bears down on over 50 million Americans. The rising temperatures claiming the life of at least 2 people, including 1 man near Phoenix.
We're still looking at above normal temperatures, potentially right through the end of the month.
Containment on this fire is now way up, nearly 50%. The job today is to make sure that doesn't change even as the temperatures soar. Dan?
Great news about the containment, Neil. Thank you. For more on the extreme heat, though, let's get it over to Rob. Hey, Rob, good morning.
Good morning, Dan. We've been in this heat wave for quite some time, and it's only going to get worse in the next couple of days. So here we go. Look at the expansion of the excessive heat warnings across much of the Southwest, and it is truly dangerous amounts of heat. In Las Vegas, temperatures are well up and over 100 degrees there. We've got a huge music festival happening there with 200,000 kids. Yesterday, 190 medical emergencies. So dangerous situation there. And these are potentially all-time record highs in Phoenix and Palm Springs, especially tomorrow in Las Vegas, and even just outside of LA, over 100 degrees there. And red flag warnings now posted for the fire zone for the mountains north and west of Los Angeles. Humidity levels dangerously low as well. Paula?
All right, Rob will check in with you a little bit later. And figuratively, the heat is on Donald Trump as he tries to shore up Republican support and offering up what would happen if the party doesn't rally around him. Well, this morning, Trump is also discounting reports that he would bow out for the right price. Mary Bruce is on the campaign trail for us this morning in Phoenix. And Mary, all of this as the Republican convention is just 1 month away. Good morning to you.
Good morning. That's right. With just 4 weeks till Cleveland and his coronation as the nominee now in sight, this morning, Trump finds himself fighting back against an internal revolt.
When these poor, poor people that have been fighting me forever, they just don't understand. They can't beat me.
This morning, Donald Trump is taking on the anybody but Trump movement, as some Republican delegates make a last-ditch effort to deny him the nomination.
People that won none are saying maybe we can get something at the convention. Doesn't work that way, folks.
And slamming reports he'd drop out if the price is right.
He wants $150 million. You could offer me 5 times that amount, and I wouldn't do it.
He's urging the party to get on board.
The Republicans should stick together.
And if they don't,
then I'll fund my own campaign. I'd love to do that.
The powerful Speaker of the House, who has endorsed Trump, now giving his blessing to any Republicans who don't.
The last thing I would do is tell anybody to do something that's contrary to their conscience.
On the trail, protesters in Phoenix braving 100-plus-degree heat in elaborate costumes to condemn Trump's policies. And a fresh assault from Clinton's top attack dog, Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren.
Every day, it becomes clearer that he is a thin-skinned, racist bully. And every day it becomes clearer he will never be president of the United States.
Now, the Republican Party has been helping Trump with the infrastructure needed in key battleground states. If he were to go it alone and self-fund, as he's now threatening to do, he could stand to lose a pretty big asset. Dan?
Mary Bruce, thank you. Trump is campaigning, of course, in the context of the aftermath of the Orlando attack. And so ABC's chief White House correspondent, John Karl, sat down with the candidate and asked whether he stands by his comments that somebody who's on the terror watch list should be barred from buying a gun.
But is it your position that if you're on that terror watch list, if you're on that no-fly list, you should not be able to buy a gun?
I'd like to see that, and I'd like to say it, and it's simpler. It's just simpler. Now, but what they say, and I understand that also, is the Second Amendment, they're depriving them of those rights, and that it could be that people are on there that shouldn't be on, et cetera, et cetera. So we have to make sure that people that are terrorists or have even an inclination toward terrorism cannot buy weapons, guns.
And John is with us now from Washington. John, did you walk away with a sense that Trump has actually reached a firm conclusion on this issue? And is he still planning on meeting with the NRA?
He is still planning on meeting with the NRA. We don't know when that's going to happen. But I got to tell you, Dan, he seems consistent on this. He believes that if you're even, as you heard him say, if you're even under any suspicion of potential terrorist ties, you should not be able to buy a gun. That is something that the NRA is steadfastly opposed to. They say the terror watch list includes a lot of innocent people who are not, who've not been proven to have any ties whatsoever to terrorism, and you can't just take away their guns based on a suspicion that hasn't been proven or even an inkling. But, Trump is over and over again talking about how he is the most pro-NRA, most pro-gun candidate we've ever seen. So it's going to be a very interesting meeting. Will he really take on the NRA on this? And is there any chance at all that they'll budge? I think that's much more in doubt.
An interesting flashpoint there, potentially. John, meanwhile, in the wake of Orlando, the Senate is expected to vote on 4 new gun control measures tomorrow. Do any of these bills stand a chance of passing?
The honest answer, Dan, is no. It's a virtual certainty that all will go down once again on Monday. It seems in some cases that the Congress, and this is on both sides, seem more intent on having a vote that gives them an issue than in actually finding an agreement. Because there are areas of agreement, narrower areas of agreement. Those are not the areas that will be voted on Monday.
History repeating itself. We've seen this before. John, thank you. And you can see much more of John's interview with Donald Trump coming up on This Week right here on ABC. John's also going to go one-on-one with Attorney General Loretta Lynch and the House Homeland Security Committee Chair, Congressman Michael McCaul, both of them discussing the government's response to Orlando. Thanks again, John, and Paula, over to you.
Thanks, Dan. And right now, there is a dangerous rescue mission ongoing in the South Pole. Crews are trying to reach at least one sick worker at a research station there, but they are facing brutal conditions. We're talking about temperatures 70 degrees below zero. Alex Marquardt joins us from London with more on this mission. Alex, good morning to you.
Good morning, Paula. That's right. This operation to an American research center could hardly be more high risk. This is a place where there's no sunlight for 24 hours a day during the winter, which is right now, a place with such punishing temperatures so remote that one person who had been evacuated from there called it harder to reach than the International Space Station. It's a rescue mission at the bottom of the world.
The situation is serious, that we don't have the capability of handling it on site.
The crew of a small plane attempting to land on snow in the dark in the dead of winter in Antarctica. The operation launched after a medical emergency involving at least one team member from the American Amundsen Scott Research Center at the South Pole. The deadly freezing temperatures only complicating the rescue. The minus 70-degree weather cold enough to freeze the plane's jet fuel.
We do need to bring the people to more capable hospital facilities.
A Canadian company has been hired to make the elaborate and daring rescue, which they've done twice before, including in 2001, when rescuers had to wait nearly 2 weeks for a brief 36-hour window of decent weather to rescue a researcher with pancreatitis.
There are restrictions on the temperatures under which the plane can fly. There are also weather systems that are coming through all the time, and we're working very carefully with weather prediction.
For this rescue, 2 specialized Twin Otter turboprop planes are flying down to the southern tip of Chile. From there, they cross the Atlantic to a British research station in Antarctica. Then, just one flies the final dangerous 900 miles through the unforgiving darkness to the South Pole. Pilots deciding mid-flight if they have enough fuel before passing the point of no return. One piece of good news is that for the next 9 days, there will be a bright moon. In fact, a full moon tonight, so the pilots will have some light to land that plane with its skis on that ice and snow. Dan, Paula?
Good to hear. Alex, thank you. Let's check in with Ron now for a look at the other stories making news this morning. Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning to you, Dan and Paula, Sarah.
Good morning, Robert, in your Bat Masterson outfit. Very impressive.
Thank you, Robert.
And good morning, everyone. We begin with a guilty verdict in the retrial of a former Vanderbilt University football player in the rape of an unconscious woman in his dorm almost 3 years ago. It took a jury less than 5 hours to find 23-year-old Brandon Vandenberg guilty on all counts. He faces now up to 25 years in prison. Vandenberg was convicted last year, but that verdict was overturned because of a juror's misconduct. 3 of his teammates were also charged. 1 was convicted, 2 others still awaiting trial. Overseas, new reports that yesterday's anti-terror raids in Brussels were part of an operation to stop a possible attack aimed at soccer fans gathering in public places to watch a European Cup match, a match that did take place between Belgium and Ireland yesterday. 3 suspects are under arrest. Brussels airport and subway were the targets, of course, of terror attacks last March. And back in the U.S., a deadly van crash in Virginia killed 6, including a child. Authorities say the vehicle was traveling north on Interstate 95 when it struck a car, ran off the highway, and rolled over 5 or 6 times. 4 men and a woman and that child were thrown from the van and died. 9 other passengers and the van's driver were injured. And the first family wrapping up their Father's Day mini vacation on Saturday, they toured Yosemite Valley. The president taking time to chat with some 4th graders on a field trip. The president also talking about the natural beauty of Yosemite.
You can't capture this on an iPad or a flat screen or even an oil painting. You've got to come here and breathe it in yourself.
Now, the president added that climate change is the biggest threat to America's national parks. And finally, on this Father's Day, one son's tribute to his late dad. 24-year-old Louis Bird is rowing from Monterey Bay in California all the way to Honolulu, Hawaii, to honor his father, Peter, who was lost at sea in 1996 while trying to row solo from Russia to California. His father was the first man to row solo across the Pacific Ocean. The younger Bird, who was rowing with a companion, expects his 2,500-mile voyage to take between 50 and 80 days. Congratulations to him. Oh, by the way, you remember yesterday that I was getting abuse from my colleagues here for calling Tom Hanks Paul Hanks?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. You got a follow-up?
Can you see this?
Did you make that up? His name is Paul?
Full name, Paul Thomas Hanks.
Can I totally made that up.
Can I ask you one question?
Yes, I did make that up, but the point is I was right in my own made-up world.
By the way, I had to look up Bat Masterson. He was a gunslinger.
Sarah wants
Well,
to add something.
right.
Well, I was just going to say that he didn't know that when he said that. I was just calling him out.
He also doesn't know it now. It's not true.
No, it is true.
No, it's not true.
It's true, but he just can't help but be correct.
I told you she'd believe
All I
anything.
know on this piece of cardboard.
All I know is that this is once
it
again
away.
running into my weather.
Truncated, brother.
Bat Masterson
10
to the
seconds.
rescue. Here we go. Miami, check it out. Boy, it was a rough afternoon yesterday. We had winds gusting over 60 miles an hour. Rain was coming down, had some tree damage. I-95 actually seeing some trees coming through, and that certainly knocked down some traffic. We have severe weather expected today across parts of northern Minnesota. Going to have some heat here as well. Yanks taking on the Twins, so that could be an issue. Damaging winds, maybe an isolated tornado. And this front pushes off to the east and across the Great Lakes tomorrow. Cleveland up through upstate New York, same deal, potentially some damaging storms there. And we have this heat that's not only across the southwest, but across the Midwest and upper plains. Temperatures will be well into the 90s today and tomorrow, and some of the heat eventually creep into the northeast, but today looks to be terrific. Check out your local forecast.
And a very good morning, Washington. Brian Vandegraff here. Beautiful blue skies out there, a few high clouds. Comfortable start right now, some 50s and 60s early on, but through the afternoon, warming quickly. For all the dads out there, if you're getting a tea time, hopefully early, by midday, 85, making a run at 90 degrees later this afternoon. It will be a warm one tomorrow for the start of summer, even warmer, low 90s. Next chance of rain on Tuesday, a few scattered showers and storms, and then a touch cooler for Wednesday and the latter half of next week.
And of course, happy Father's Day to all you dads out there. It's going to be a hot one for many. We're going to go over the Father's Day forecast. There's some interesting towns out there that have the theme going on. That's in about 10 minutes.
Right. Happy Father's Day to you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
some
you,
other,
Robert.
you can celebrate tonight because we've got the NBA Finals.
Yeah,
it all
baby.
comes down tonight. Game 7 deciding who takes home the championship. ABC's TJ Holmes is live in Oakland. Good morning, TJ.
Good morning, Mama Haynes, and shame on anybody if you miss this game tonight. Where I'm sitting right now, somebody paid $49,500 apiece for 2 of these seats to be here. Why would anybody pay that much money? Because this is a big deal. It's not just a basketball game, not just a championship game. We will see something historic tonight.
It all comes down to this.
Game 7, Sunday night in Oakland.
With just a few hours left, the NBA's biggest stars are getting